welcome into another episode of the Clapp Trap. I've got my good pal Matt back on the show, the leader in the gambling competition, the Clapp Trap gambling competition. That was a good mistake right there, but he is here to give his thoughts on everything. And since I got Matt back in, we haven't talked to him since the beginning of the NFL season, so we'll get into all the NFL thoughts, but I do want to talk about all of the other New England sports teams. We do have some interesting stuff going on with the Bruins just named a new captain. The Red Sox fired their GM. I haven't really gotten into that because I'm so down on the Red Sox that I just punted to the next year. I want to get Maddie's thoughts on that. Also, we'll talk a little bit of Celtics before we get into the NFL talk, because there was a Thursday night football game last night. We got a big Patriots game coming up. But first of all, Matt, I just want to say thank you for coming back on. As always appreciate it. How are you doing? How are you feeling about the state of New England sports at this moment?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I'd be remiss to not come in here and do my victory lap, leading the gambling competition by week 2. So might as well give me the money right now. Also leading the football league right now after week 2, and
okay.
So yeah,
Nobody cares.
I'm here more to peacock than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Very good. That's what we want. We need that extra little Matty energy from him. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, you've been seeing the board well. I'm happy about it. At the end of the day, I do just want to give anybody who's possibly listening along to us idiots talking about sports gambling some good picks. If we can make anybody win some money, I'd be happy about that too. Obviously, I want to do good as well. I did absolutely atrocious, but we'll get into that first. As I said, I want to get into some of the other New England sports teams that are going on. Currently, we might as well talk about first the one that is still playing. We'll talk about the Red Sox. We've talked about them before, how bad it was going into this season. I know that we had started off at the beginning of the season with, thinking that possibly it was going to be a terrible season for them. I think a lot of people thought that. I actually took the over on 78.5 wins, so that looks like it still has a chance to hit. We're getting close. We're down to the line here, so I'm happy about a possible chance, a reason to give me a reason to watch the games a little bit. But they finally have fired Chaim Bloom. The Chaim Bloom era is over. They are done, and they did it emphatically too. They didn't wait until the offseason. They didn't wait until they were like, no, all right, we're hearing all your complaining. We are getting rid of Chaim Bloom, and we're going to move forward. And you would hope, I actually haven't really even looked into what they're going to be doing as far as the next GM here, but I would assume this means that they're going to go in a new direction. Then let's just build up the farm system and try and eke out a good pro roster. So I got to ask how you're feeling right now about this Red Sox team firing the GM at this point before the season's over. Does it give you hope for the future? Are you excited about the future at all about the Red Sox, or are you still kind of questioning it?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's got to give you hope, right? I mean, this is a team that they have the capability of holding one of the largest payrolls in the league. What are they at, the 10th place, give or take, right now? This is. Yeah, I think back to, what was it, the Dark Knight Rises, when they're talking about firing the commissioner. He's like, yeah, but he's a wartime commissioner. Now we're in peacetime. This is how the Red Sox go, right? We're at a time where we need to go spend. We don't need a guy that's slashing payroll, building the farm. That happened. You saw there was, the just atrophy of fans, right? People started tuning out, and it's to make a quick comparison to the Patriots. When you're in the middle and you're like an average team, I'd rather you be hysterically bad, than be somewhere in the middle. So for these guys in this division too, to not even be competing after the first month, and then they were in the wild card race up until a month and a half ago. You need a new direction. You need someone that's going to come in and spend. Now, I don't know who that's going to be. I'm not a watchdog in that type of MLB sense. I know there's been talk about the guy from Arizona who's Abington native. It'd be tough to sort of pry him away from what it sounds like, but yeah, I want someone. I want the Dombrowski type. I want someone to come in here, make splashes, sign Ohtani, do something. It doesn't have to be him specifically, but get some $200, $300 million contracts in the books. It's not my money. Go spend it.
That's true. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I'm just happy that it seems like Henry is listening, because I thought he was completely tuned out. I thought the guy was all about, I got my Pittsburgh Penguins, I got my soccer team, I don't care. I think that's how we all felt, was he was just looking at it like, what are they making a profit for me? All right, I don't really care. They can, keep people interested for a little bit. You have your diehard group of Red Sox fans that are always going to root for this team no matter what. So I'm just happy to see him kind of take a stand. It feels like kind of take his team back in a sense, or at least make it seem like he wants to put us back towards trying to go for championships. Because clearly, over these last couple of seasons, it has not been about let's go win a championship. It's about all right, let's try and put out the best team we possibly can for the most reasonable salary. So that frustrates any fan out there, especially when, like you said, we've gone from being a small market team back in the 90s or before that, even considered more of like a small market team, little brother to the Yankees kind of guys there. And then you start building something in the early 2000s. Obviously, you win championships, you become that high tier level of team. And then you're going to go out there and give us a Heim Bloom type of guy who's just going to be all about the farm system and doesn't really care. Yeah, sure, you signed Rafael Devers, which I give him credit for, Bloom, finally making that call. You had to keep a guy like that, but you're right. I think you need a little spice. You need a little excitement. You need somebody that's going to come in and turn this Red Sox team around and give us a reason to actually want to watch these games and go and sing Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning at a ball game and not just think about this team is just going to be at the bottom of the AL East again. We're battling with the Yankees for last place in the division. Come on. I mean, so I'm happy with the direction that they're going. Do you want them to go after Ohtani, though? Are you
I
feeling
want a
that?
splash, man. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, and the thing is, I think you can get creative. Like the way I'm hearing it from everybody, right, is like you pay him 300 million to be a hitter, and you put these incentives into his contract where it's if he starts to pitch, then you could start, increasing it by however much. He's not going to pitch in 2024. You'd have to wait till 2025. But there's you need to make a big splash like that. There's a new another Japanese pitcher that I think is going to be they're going to be bidding for. That a couple teams will be bidding for this offseason. But I want that hot stove. I mean, today's hot stove, right? I mean, baseball. It's
Right.
not like back in when we were in high school and it'd be Thanksgiving weekends and you'd hear about Kurt Schilling signing or Danny Ramirez. But like, give me something like that. Give me something in November where it's like, oh crap, this team means business. They need it. They need to get the season ticket sales up. They got to generate revenue, got to generate buzz. So I'm happy that let's get a GM first, get someone who knows how to add talent, build a system, trade away certain pieces out of the farm, someone that's not connected to the pieces. He didn't draft this guy. He has no sort of emotional attachment to certain players that he picked. Da, da, da. Someone that come in that can actually have a good balance. We don't need a top 5 farm system in expense of the big league level. We need a good balance, and we need splashes right now. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping they're otherwise start looking at Sam Kennedy. He could be next on the list.
Maybe. Yeah, no, that's a good point. His neck will be on the chopping block next. But yeah, I mean, I want Ohtani, obviously. Give him with that. We got Yoshida already. We're trying to build that camaraderie. They seem to like each other, so that's good. Why does he, go and grandstand for us to go and get Ohtani? I want him in, even if he can't pitch. Like you said, he's a $300 million contract guy. Even if he can't pitch, he's going out there smashing 40 home runs a season, all the RBIs, everything else you need to do. So go out and get something like that. Bring back that spark. Bring back that hype for the Red Sox. You guys have the entire New England fan base all watching you during the summer because we have nothing else to watch. Give us something to watch. Give us don't make me go through the entire season. It's all about me. Don't make me go through the entire summer season and hate watching sports because the Red Sox are so bad and they just don't care. And then they'll go through a week or two of being great out of nowhere, and everybody's like, "Nope, see, they're gonna go on a run here," and then they go right back to what they are, a 500 baseball team. Give us a reason. Give us a reason to be excited. That's all I
You gotta
ask.
be sweating this last week of the season, huh? That's 78.5 looked like such a lock.
I
And then
thought it was easy.
they've lost like 3 out of 15. Like if they don't sweep the series with the White Sox, you kiss that goodbye because they're
It's
playing teams that are all in contention.
Yeah, no, it's got me a reason to sweat, but it's like that's the only reason I'm interested in your baseball team right now is to see if you can get me to 79 wins on the season. Come on, man. It's
Well,
gross. It's gross right now.
if you need a little fix for the summertime, I'm trying to get everyone into the WNBA. That's a great summer
Nice.
sport.
Yeah,
Medical
no,
summer,
that
Final Four.
tennis. Hey, there's some stuff that you can watch, but don't make me do that. I'm a big four sports guy. I want to see the big four sports teams doing good. Give me a reason to watch this Red Sox team. You gave me, as far as I'm concerned, they gave us no reason to watch the team this summer. No reason whatsoever.
The past 4 years to trade away Mookie Betts, you get pennies in the dollar. You let Bogarts
Bogart's
go.
gone.
Yeah, I
Ah,
mean, and even like the Evaldis of the world, like not that he was any fair shakes the other night when they played him, but like I don't know, they just let like good talent go. Like Schwarber left, he did all right. Like
Waka.
yeah, they didn't retain anybody. So it's like who are you supposed to root for? They got Raffy, love Raffy, but like you need 9 players in the field.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun seeing these young kids coming up. The Rafaela, whatever that kid, he seems exciting. They got him playing center field, shortstop, all over the place. They got young kids. Tristan Cassis coming up. These guys are exciting in a sense, just because they're young and you don't know what the future is going to be. But come on, we're not thinking that they're going to go out there and actually help us win 90 games in a baseball year. It's not going to happen. So Brian Bayo, another one. It's nice to see them be able to finally get a pitcher that's coming up through the farm system, but he's not first of all, he's not anywhere close to being your ace. He's not going to be for the next couple of seasons. I don't think he's going to be building towards something.
You can only pitch in the nighttime. He's like Dracula. He can't have him out during the day.
Yeah, that's a good one there. But so yeah, just do something. Make it exciting again. Come on. We're the Red Sox. We're the Boston team. Come on. But we got another Boston team that's got some interesting news that happened. My Boston Bruins, very excited to see what the team is going to look like going into this year. Obviously, you just lost Bergeron, you lost Krejci, guys like Tyler Bertuzzi, who we thought maybe was going to be good to sign to the team after an interesting first playoff series, though they got their butts kicked and it was demoralizing and a huge choke and all that kind of stuff. But how are you going to bounce back from that? What is the identity of the team going to be? And it seems like the Bruins have kind of made a decision on what that identity is at least going to start with, because it starts from the top down, right? And now we got our new top guy on the team, new guy with the C on his chest. We got Brad Marchand as the new captain for the Boston Bruins. So I'm asking you, Maddie, I know, an outsider perspective. I know that you were following along with the Bruins a little bit last year and everything. Everybody was, I think, with how exciting they were. Do you think that they made the right choice putting Brad Marchand as the 27th captain in franchise history, or do you think they should have gone another direction?
I like the pick. I think Mac was a little too young, a little too early on for him to get the C. Um, you'd really have to believe that the last 12 to 18 months of Marchand are like the transformation of him from being the guy that will slew foot you, will lick you, into the guy that's going to be like, I mean, listen, it's Zdeno Chara, Patrice Bergeron, like those guys, like those are like the classiest of guys. Like if you were to tell someone like if a young kid how to learn how to play hockey, like emulate those guys, right? Brad Marchand's clearly not that guy. Like in the whole shot in the last 12 to 18 months, he hasn't been that pest, but he also hasn't been as effective at the same time. So, I mean, I think it's the right, if you're going to look at it strictly from the pecking order of like who should be next, it should have been him. I don't know about, I mean, Pasta disappears in the playoffs, and he's younger. So, I mean, how many Marchand's been with the team for what, 12, 15 years already?
Something
Something
like that.
crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So it would probably rub him and the locker room the wrong way if it wasn't him up next. So I get it. I do have a lot of fears about the Bruins this season. I think a lot of the skepticism about the team last year going into it, like they're down all these guys, like health's going to be an issue, like they're gonna crater. I'd be scared that that's going to happen this year. I mean, again, they could prove us all wrong, but you lost a lot of talent to retirement. You lost a lot of talent in free agency. Didn't necessarily replace it. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about this team, but I mean, in terms of just the decision on Marchand, I think it makes sense.
Well, they didn't replace it. They got Milan Lucic back, dude. We're fine. It's gonna be
Yeah,
fine. Milan
I just
Lucic it's great. I mean, that's just a silly thing to do. I agree with you. Lost a lot of talent. Brought back in a bunch of really aging veteran players like Van Riemsdyk and Milan Lucic, who's going to give you maybe 10 minutes on the fourth line. I don't understand what you're doing there. We're gonna watch the Bruins with Milan Lucic again. He's not even going to fight anybody. I don't understand why we're doing that. But
well, no
as
one's
far
fighting.
well, yeah. As far as Marchand goes, I mean, I get it from the veteran standpoint, like you said. He's the longest tenured guy. I don't know if it was his rookie year, 2011, or was it the year before that? So he's been around for a long time. Obviously, been there for the championship. And I don't know. It's just hard for me, though. Like you said, last year he was in a weird place. He did a lot of soul searching. It seemed like he wasn't that same guy that, like you said, the lick you in the face, the slew foot, the crazy. He didn't do a ton of that. There was a little bit, and then I don't even think at the end of the season he went on a streak of not having any penalty minutes for a really long time or something like that. But he was also just voted by the entire league as the biggest chirper in the league. They literally did a poll about that with NHL players through The Athletic, and he was voted as the biggest chirper in the league. That doesn't seem like somebody, in my opinion, that's the captain of a team per se. I don't really think that, the chirping guy is the captain. Sure, you got the leader, but like you said, we're talking about guys like Bergeron and Chara and go back Ray Bourque, guys like that who led by example and led with that just mentality of, this is how we're supposed to do things. It's the right way to do things, and I'm going to show you how to do it first. And yes, I'll give you the speech in the locker room too, but I'm not going to be going out there and trying to aggravate the other team into getting a penalty or something. That's not really my game. So I don't know. I personally, I know it wouldn't have been, like you said, maybe it would have caused some controversy in the locker room, but you could still give him the A on his chest, Brad Marchand. But I would have gone with Charlie McAvoy. I honestly would have, just because I feel like that's the future of the team. I feel like I love his mentality. He still makes some mistakes in crucial times. We saw it in the playoffs last year. We've seen it at different times. He gets a little too ahead of himself. He gets ramped up and things like that, but he understands how to do things. And I always just feel more comfortable with a defenseman as the captain of the team. Something about a defenseman just exudes those captain mentalities that I always look for in a player. Obviously, Bergeron was great, but before that, like I said, you had Chara and you had Bourque as your two guys. I don't know. I'm worried about the team. I agree with you. It's going to be a tough season overall. Also, we're going back into another season with Ullmark instead of just giving the keys over to Swayman, which I loved Ullmark last year. I thought he was outstanding. I don't see how you could hate on him in any sense, but we all know there's no chance he can be anywhere close to that good again this year, right? That's
didn't he
that's
just
an
win the
outlier.
Vezina? I mean, didn't
He
he?
did, but
Yeah. So,
he
like, I mean, of course, like, you literally can't do better than that. So,
no.
yeah, I mean, he's what is this? That was his second year of the 5-year deal. Is that what it was? So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, not lightning in the bottle there. I mean, what you can hope for is that they platoon, he does well, and maybe they find a trade partner for him, because not that I have their salary cap info in front of me, but I'm pretty sure they're right up against it, which is why they
Yeah.
signed a bunch of $900,000 a year, old veterans. So yeah, maybe they let him rip for the first half of the season, and then they find a nice trade partner for him.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like it came back and blew up in our face when when Montgomery tried to go all in on him in the playoff series, and then try to throw in Swayman right at the last second when he was completely off his game. So I don't know. Either you have to go with both of them playing using both goaltenders the whole way, and do something people don't do in the playoffs and use two goaltenders, or let's kick it to the kid. We got to see what he's going to be. He needs to be the guy that's taking over. Love Ullmark. Huge fan of Ullmark. Contract's great. Played out of his mind last year, but I think it's time to turn the keys over to the kid, and let's move on and see what we really got. Because if you don't, I mean, we're just still going to be kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And this year is going to be a real tough make or break season. So we'll see how that goes. But we got another team that's coming up also as well. I can't wait for October. I can't wait till we have all of the big sports team. Well, now we won't have the Red Sox, but we'll have all the other big teams playing in October. I can't wait for it. We got the Celtics also about to start their season in a little while, about a month from now, maybe a little less than a month from now. And so we're going to see how things go. Obviously, the huge offseason news for them was trading Marcus Smart. You bring in Kristaps Porzingis, who already is dealing with injury issues, and it's going to change the identity of the team. So, Matt, you're a big green teamer, season ticket holder. Are you excited going into this year? Are you worried at all? Do you think that the superstars are going to take a step, or I should say superstar in Jason Tatum? Where's your head at with this team?
There's 3 superstars on this team.
Oh,
Listen,
get out
so
of here.
here's my biggest thing, right? So I was actually having a little debate about this, I think, yesterday. I think it came up in like, should they trade Brogdon for like Buddy Hield type? I think it was just a random scenario. But here's my biggest thing that I want to see is, are they going to double down on quote unquote Missoula ball, which is just, run, shoot as many threes as you can. Like, they're going to live and die by the three. Defense is I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. Let's be honest. When it mattered, they could not make the stops they needed to. Are you going to double down on that, or are you going to balance out? And I don't know what the coach like. I know we added different coaches. They added Cassell. They added a couple other guys. I think so. I want to know if that's going to be a change in philosophy because I want it. I want a more balanced game. Because if you're only going to be able to do one thing, which is shoot the three, you better do it historically well. Because if you're a one trick pony, you're not going to make it out. We just saw it happen. You got cold. You didn't get past the heat. You were close. You're arguably a rolled Jason Tatum ankle away from making it to the finals. In an incredible comeback. But like if that's the biggest thing that I want to see is do they because Porzingis can obviously play the inside game. He's what 8'5", but like you can but he can shoot. He's a really great corner three perimeter
Oh yeah.
guy as well, so he can stretch another team's defense. But I want to see because I personally don't like Missoula ball. I think you got to be versatile. I think you have to win in different ways on a night in night out basis, and you especially need to win in different ways in the playoffs when you have other coaches who can scheme up or like play a well enough defense, or if your shooting just gets cold. So that's the biggest thing I want to see this year is do they find some more balance? Do these new coaches even them out, enough, dribble drive type of stuff, like get into the paint, draw some fouls, muck it up inside in the interior. That's what I'd really like to see. And like I said, if they continue Missoula ball, they double down on it. They want these outside shots. They better be effing historically good at it.
Hey, well, they were historically good to start off the year. That was an insane run to start off last year. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe how good they were doing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they moved on from Marcus Smart. He was supposed to be your defensive identity. Do you think they even have anyone now that could play defense enough on this team? They got rid of not that this is a much lesser level, but they also got rid of Grant Williams, who I looked at as a guy who you could throw into defensive situations, and at least he's caused some havoc. And against guys like Giannis and others, he could actually do a little bit of something. Do you think that they even have the players on the team to be able to play good defense anymore? Or have they gotten rid of
Most definitely.
everybody?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Derek White was second team all defensive, so he's sort of going to fill in that Marcus Smart role. I think Tatum is a lot better at defense this year. I love that he's working with Paul Pierce in the offseason. That's
Mhm.
definitely going to up his defense. And I know Porzingis can, get in the middle and play some D on some of the bigger
The
guys too.
blocks.
So what's that?
He's got good blocking and good
Oh yeah,
rebounding.
exactly. So no, I think that's what I mean. Like I'd love to see them. Like they have to step up their defense. They were crap last year, especially when it mattered. So I think they still have it. Again, they're getting that production from Marcus Smart, who honestly fell off a little bit from his DPOI performance. So they got that in Derek White. He was second team all defensive. So I think if they play the right way, then they'll absolutely be able to handle it. I loved. I mean, you got to remember they're a year removed from the Ime Udoka team that was like not, I think we're number one, number two, and like in defense. Like they just couldn't execute on the offensive end. They got stale, and then when he left, the whole thing shifted entirely, and they became way too heavy on the offense on the threes, and they abandoned their defense. If they could have just maybe gone from first in defense to like fifth or sixth, and then also like what I mean, they just needed to. They
Mhm.
swung too far in one direction, so they got to bring it back to where they were, but add that offense.
Yeah, no, and like you said, they brought in some new assistant coaches. Seems like Sam Cassell is going to be a big part of what they're doing going forward. And I do wonder, with Missoula and everything, obviously they took away the interim tag, they gave him the actual coaching job, but then you bring in a guy like Sam Cassell and some others on the bench there. Do you think that there's any thought behind maybe, okay, if Missoula falters again, if the defense isn't doing good, if he's focusing on the wrong things, maybe we need to give it to Sam Cassell to run this team, or do you think that's kind of like a year or two off?
I think it just depends on what Jason Tatum wants at that point. It is gonna let
Yeah,
it's
it's
we're
true.
no you see it around the league all the time. The coach reflects what the superstar wants. We're no different here. I mean, it's championship. We have banners, all this stuff. But if any change is needed, it's like even if ownership is like listening to people, or if they think they need a changing coach, they're gonna run it by the hierarchy of the team first. So
Yeah.
it's if as long as Jason Tatum and Joe Mazzulla are in wedding photos together doing their thing, then like his job secure. He's Missoula's smart that way.
That's true. Yeah, you got to stay in the off the court stuff in order to be in the good graces. And yeah, and they got rid of one of the big three decision makers in Marcus Smart, so now it's down to just two guys in Tatum and Brown, right? So it's all on what those guys think. But you mentioned another guy who's kind of seeming maybe a little disgruntled right now. I mean, for obvious reasons, Brogdon. They tried to trade him. It didn't work out. It was put out to everybody that they were trying to move him. And then it's like, actually, we couldn't do that. So why don't you come back and play for us again next year? Now I'm hearing things that he's upset with the way that the Celtics handled his injury. Do you think that they really are going to try and go out there and find a trade partner again for him? Do you think he can actually coexist on this team anymore and be good? Is he in that mindset where he can just put that somewhere else and just focus on playing basketball, or is the relationship over?
I don't know, man. So I don't know his game well. Like I haven't like tracked his career well enough to know like if he's just once he's out on a team, he's out. Like I don't know. Like I think he left Milwaukee in free agency, right? And then obviously he got traded here from Indiana.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I don't know how it's gonna all gel together. I mean, this is a business. I mean, Jalen Brown gets almost traded, friggin' all or he gets
It's true.
hypothesized at least all the time, and
True.
he still goes out there and plays. So that'd be a good example for Brogdon to follow. I mean, I like Brogdon. I mean, I don't I think he's sixth man of the year. I mean, he deserved that honor. So I'd like to see him try to like pull it together and make it work. If not, I mean, what do you trade him for? And this is where this argument I was in the other day got going. It's like, oh, if you trade him for Buddy Hield, which would be weird because you would be trading him back to Indiana after
Yeah.
you already traded him away. So put that aside for a second. If you're going to trade Brogdon, who can slash, who can get into the into the paint a little bit, like he move the ball. He's not necessarily just going to spot up and shoot threes. Where Buddy Hield is going to shoot threes. He's almost a 3-point specialist. Um, that reinforces that you're going to play Missoula ball. You're going to be shooting. You're going to be shooting, duck, and like at
True.
that. So again, like that's where I go back to if you're going to trade Brogdon, it's got to be in line with who you get back. Is it got to be in line with the identity of what the team's going to be? So it would be very telling if before the season, if they traded him for player X,
Right.
what they're going to be doing. So we'll see. I mean, I'd like to see him get in line. I think he's a good player, and sort of just squash the beef. But people's feelings get hurt. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's a small team, 15 man on the roster. You're obviously going to be involved in trade talks a lot of the time, so I guess you got to get over that. I hope he can. I love Brogdon. Him and Derek White, I think, have been huge additions. Obviously, if they can stay healthy, that was the big thing for Brogdon. Couldn't stay healthy, but I'll just finish it off with this. What are your predictions for the team this year? Do you think they'll be right back in that same position, top of the Eastern Conference and vying for a championship? Do you think they fall off at all? Where are you at with the prediction?
I mean, I think it's championship or bust. I mean, right? You added the
Oh yeah.
pieces, you traded away your heart and soul of the team. Like if you gotta like this is make or break. Like you gotta make the finals, and depending on who you go up against, I mean that's you. But you've got to get back. I think you're you're regressing if you don't make it back to the finals. So I mean, I'm all in on this team, and I mean I've got good hopes. I like the Porzingis trade a lot. I think it's so much. He's so much more of what you had a logjam at the guard position, and you needed less voices. You needed more production. I think Porzingis didn't play in the World Cup like on purpose. I think it was sort of a hey, here's your extension, like don't go play in the World Cup. So I think that was sort of a wink, wink, nod, nod type of thing. I can't wait to see how this team. I've got good feelings, good vibes about this team. Dare I say, oh wait, vibes.
Oh, okay. That's big time stuff. Yeah, no, it is championship or bust. It was championship or bust last year, and they busted. This time, let's see if they can go the other way with it. I have high hopes as well. Jason Tatum taking another step. Jaylen Brown got that bag. Go out there and show why you got it, and then it'll be Tatum's turn. But yeah, it's championship or bust once again, and it doesn't matter who else is in the Eastern Conference. You got to make it happen. Make it happen. Um, all right, I'm gonna start it over again. I don't know if you saw that, it popped up the like
Yeah.
8 minutes left. I'm just gonna start it over again, and then we'll just switch gears to the NFL.
All right. Yeah. So send me a link.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, now it's time to move on. We've talked about the other NFL or the other New England sports teams and given our thoughts on that, but now we got to move on to the NFL. And before we get into the Patriots thoughts, I do just want to kind of go over our overall thoughts of the league right now. Obviously, we just had Thursday night football happen last night. 49ers beating up on the Giants 30-12, though it seemed like it was going to be a lot closer of a game through the first half. And then the 49ers just kind of got rolling and never looked back. And now they're 3-0, the first team to reach 3-0. I mean, we've got other teams that are 2-0 at this point, and they'll probably get there as well. But I just got to start off the NFL conversation by asking, are the 49ers the best team in the NFL in your mind, Matt?
Sorry, I almost had to block out a sneeze. Yeah, I mean, they look it. I mean, last night was sort of a I mean, you come it's your home opener, you know, you come like, you've been on the you're already 2-0, you go on the road for both of those. You come in, last night was really just, make sure you take care of business type of night, you know, get into your mini buy. Um, yeah, I think they look awesome, man, and I can only imagine what they look like if they had, like, a stud quarterback, you know what I mean? But, like, that defense is filthy. That sack by Joey Bosa was unreal coming off the side like that. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be a very complete team. Having said that, they seem to always find a way to blow it when it comes to the NFC Championship or when it gets down to that Final Four time. I mean, I don't think that they've under Shanahan they've even made the Super Bowl, right? The last time they made it was
With
Harbaugh.
yeah, I believe so. With
Yes, I mean, I'd love to see him pull it all together. I think they look like the most complete team. They're filthy on defense. I think what was they said last night on the broadcast that they have an all pro at every level of both offense and defense. It's insane. Like they're and like Christian McCaffrey is a effing stud. Watching that kid run and just throw dudes down, he's nasty. Yeah,
hmm
the team is a complete package. It'd be and seeing what's out there in the league right now, I mean, I think it'd be and Daniel Dallas, you know, sadly just lost Trayvon Diggs for the season. So I think that I would say that you know San Francisco is probably the number one team right now. I'm gonna look up their odds actually. I'm curious to see what the futures are.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that you're right. I think that they are technically the best team in the league, but it's a weird year for the NFL. I know, obviously, when the best team in the league has just like a middling quarterback to me, a quarterback that's probably no better than Mac Jones, and they're somehow the best team in the league. You got to have all pros at all levels if that's going to be the case. But I think that you nailed it that the reason that they're not going to be the best team at the end of the year is because of Brock Purdy. They can't get over that hump and they get to the end. It seems like it's all going to come down to you need everything to be hitting. And I have no faith in Brock Purdy to be able to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I think that at the end of the day, Shanahan's probably looking at it like he's pissed off that his team went out there and made him go and get Trey Lance when he wanted Mac Jones the whole time. You could have just had basically, which I believe personally, Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy. I don't know how you feel about it, but if they had somebody that was Mac Jones just even a little bit better than Brock Purdy, I think that even puts you over the hump more when you get to the NFC Championship type of time there. But obviously, Brock Purdy can grow into a better quarterback overall, but as of right now, that's their biggest weak point. And he still threw for 300 yards last night because he has Debo Samuel. He has the dump down option in Christian McCaffrey. Didn't have Ayuk last night, but he's got George Kittle. He's got, I mean, it's insane. The guys, the weapons that he has on offense, that offensive line is good. Obviously, Trent Williams is a great offensive lineman, though he was getting into some stuff last night in the game. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, I can't believe it, and I don't really trust any of the other great teams. I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys. You just said they lost one of their defensive weapons in Trayvon Diggs, and I just don't know how I feel about. I mean, obviously they've still got Parsons, they've still got some good weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but I don't trust them. Eagles. Yeah, I mean they're good as well, but you saw them get it was the first game of the season, I get that, but they got slowed down by the Patriots right out the gate. It seems like they can be gotten as well. So it's a very parity-filled year, I think, where I at the end of the season, obviously I think the Chiefs are going to be back in there. There's going to be random teams that I think are going to make a name for themselves, at least get into the playoffs, like the Lions and things like that. So it's just kind of a weird season overall. I don't know how you
You
feel.
buying that Lions hype train, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm still on it. I got I got to stick with my guns on that one, even though they're getting injury prone right now and falling apart a little bit. But we'll get into that a little bit more because we have them in our gambling competition. We got to pick that game in a little bit, but I'm just I don't know. It seems like a weird start to the year. We're finally, and I know we don't have the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers, these dominant quarterbacks anymore. Obviously, you still got Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. We think he's a top tier quarterback. I think he's going to be a top tier quarterback, but there's no one else that's kind of dominating the league right now. So it's kind of interesting. And I don't know. Do you think that this is a better overall product for the NFL to have it so up in the air, or would you rather see a couple of teams that are kind of vying for the top dog spot?
I don't know. It's you see, like with the NBA, right? It was like you loved having like Steph first, LeBron, like you love, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
KD got in there too because he's a weasel. But like you loved having that matchup, but by the third iteration, you got tired of it, right? So
True.
and I'm sure like I could, I guess like you'd say after the Patriots didn't have Tom Brady, like the parity just like it really it spread out a lot. You could say that the Chiefs are sort of that next team up where they've won what two out of the last four or five. No, and they're sort of they're always going to be there. Like I think even if they they started slow last year, they ramped up at the end of the year and
Yeah.
just became the team that ended up winning it all. So I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's good for the league to have it be sort of spread out. You do want to have like a couple of marquee franchises like the Chiefs that like will be in contention, usually make the Final Four every year, maybe get knocked off. But no, I think it's. I mean, I think the Niners look awesome. I mean, I don't know. I've got the odds pulled up in front of me right now. It's Niners are plus 650 for the to win. Chiefs are plus 700. Yeah, there's even four more teams inside of like plus 1,000: Cowboys, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins. So no,
Yeah.
I think the parity's good. I think there is a drop off when it comes to that Lions level. I'm not really I'm not really fully bought in on the Lions hype train. I think they beat up a caught off guard and undermanned Kansas City team, especially early in the year. But yeah, and the parity's nice. I mean, it'd be nice if New England was part of in that parity conversation of like, hey, maybe they have a shot. But even still, I mean, I'm an NFL fan, so I don't, it's all good.
Well, I'm also just going to say it right now. The AFC is just not the conference I think that anybody thought it was going to be this year. I mean, obviously, all these teams falling apart, and the Chiefs, we know they're going to be there at the end. But a team like the Bengals, who are now, again, they're 0-2 already, and now Joe Burrow is day to day with another possible injury. They could be completely falling apart. You got teams like the Jaguars, who everyone thinks is fun. That's cool. The Chargers, who have the worst coaching, but have this great offense, and they seem like they should be a lot better. You got the Dolphins, who are one hit away from Tua never playing again. The AFC is really open, other than the Chiefs, who we know is going to be there. So you say that the Patriots aren't going to be in it, but it's like a really weird. I thought that we all, or a lot of us, thought that the AFC was going to be the better of the two conferences. I think that the NFC is clear and away so far the better conference.
Yeah, I mean, who else really at the top besides the Niners, the Cowboys, the Eagles? All teams that are 2-0 or 3-0. And
Yep.
I think in the case of the Eagles, they didn't have a great start. Like they didn't play their best football. Yeah, I guess you might be right. I mean, we'll see. We'll see when it all comes down to it.
Well, yeah. So I mean, we do have, and we should get into them. We are talking about the Patriots. We know Matt and I love talking about the Patriots and our thoughts on how this team is doing, what their future is going to be. They're obviously started off 0-2. I haven't had you on since the season's got started here. Another tough loss last week, losing to the Dolphins. In it once again, but who really cares? There's no moral victories at this point. The thing I said going into the season is this is not a moral victory year. I don't care about that anymore. It's put up or shut up time for Bill. You have to win 9 or more games minimum. To me, you have to 9 games is the minimum that you have to win. And now you start off 0-2. Obviously, 0-2 isn't as bad as it used to be when now there's 17 games that you're playing as opposed to 16. You get another chance, blah, 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 all that stuff. But still, it's we're starting off so tough. We're in these games once again. I thought every game was going to be a battle. I'm happy in a sense to see them in it against the Eagles and in it against the Dolphins. But then when the reason that they can't actually overcome these is because they shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers on offense, it's the most frustrating way to lose football games, I think. Obviously, first game, to me, they spotted the Eagles 13 points on offense with horrible turnovers. Then you go into this game against the Dolphins. Once again, they're turning the ball over. And on top of it, now we're starting to lose more players to injury. Marcus Jones is out now on IR with that torn labrum after he went down. And I think it was the early second quarter. I don't know what time he
Yeah,
went down there.
went down twice. The second time he went down though.
Okay, so yeah, that's a tough one. Obviously, we're already dealing with Jonathan Jones having injuries. You got Jack Jones, who's on the IR as well for his hamstring. The secondary that this team, thought was going to be the big part of them, the big, let's go. The secondary's got all these weapons, kind of. They're starting to fall apart. So we're going into a Jets game this week, and just so far with the season, How have you felt about the team overall? I know that you were sending me messages on the side being like, is it time to kind of jump off and panic? Are you, I know you have some interesting feelings about this team. Do you feel like this is just a sinking ship and they're just going to keep going down, down, down? Or do you have any positive things to say about the Patriots?
No, so I think they'll still muster, put together somewhere in that 7 to 9 win range. I just think they're too they're they're the biggest problem. It's personnel problems, right? They are very well coached, but they do not have the horses to get stuff done. I mean, that's so. I think right if you look at the schedule, right, and I don't have it directly in front of me, but I know like it softens up like for a big part of the middle, and then I think it gets tough at the end, probably because it's AFC East matchups, but it's tough to build yourself. I mean, 0-2, sure. Like you're gonna if they don't win this week, which like this week's not you could call it a given because in like past years, but I don't know. Like the Jets, I don't think the Jets have totally like bought out yet, right? Like most Jets teams are like, yeah, like we stink, like we're not, this is how it is. But I think they got that win against Buffalo despite the fact that they lost Aaron Rodgers, and like, yeah, they got absolutely waxed by the Cowboys in week 2. But like I don't think they're checked out yet. So I think it's gonna be a battle this week. And if you go 0-3 as the Patriots, call it 0-4 because you're going into Dallas. Like after that, you're real like you're gonna lose morale. And like right now, I feel like they're in a position where like they've played well enough. A lot of it's they're coming back in these games. Like that's why they're getting closer than it actually looks on paper. But I mean, it's because they're spotting teams at points in the beginning. But like, I think right now they are a team that can win the games that they're supposed to win. Like when they see the sort of less sort of crappier teams. If you go down 0-4, that might not be the case because you're going to lose morale and people aren't going to be playing to the level that they need to. Because there's really no point in trying to push for a postseason spot. So we'll see. I mean, I think this week is friggin' massive.
Is it must win? Are we doing must win right now?
It's the difference between 1-2 and versus going 0-4. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna make that leap, but even 1-3 looks better than 0-4. So yeah, I'm gonna call it must win. And if they don't win, I don't know. Like, I hear Caleb Williams is pretty good as a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're right. The Jets team isn't fully checked out yet. I think that the fans are right there ready to boo them as soon as anything goes wrong on Sunday. So we'll see how their team reacts. If the Patriots don't shoot themselves in the foot right out the gate and maybe go up a score or two, even like 10-0, that fan base, they might really turn on them very quickly. Obviously, they lost Aaron Rodgers, so the whole season is shot. You're going with Zack Wilson, which that guy's a bozo, and you don't think you're going to get anything out of him. But I am not at all thinking that this is an easy win or a scheduled win or anything like that for the Patriots. This is nowhere near that type of a team. You can't expect anything out of them. So it's going to be a battle still. The Jets are great everywhere now except for the quarterback. They have the quarterback, they lose him. They're great everywhere else still. Their defense is good. They've got offensive weapons, but and I feel the worst for Garrett Wilson. I don't know if you saw that whole thing about him and Aaron Rodgers talking in the locker room, and Aaron kind of like walked up to it, was like, "Sorry, kid." And
Awesome.
like, yeah, that's so bad that I went out, and now you're gonna have to deal with Zack Wilson this entire time. But I don't know. I think that I do obviously think that they could win this game. I think that they're going to start to shore up, and this is going to be kind of a get right about the turnovers. That is a huge factor for the squad, and they've shown that they could do things on defense. Now, I'm starting to get worried though about all these injuries. That's where I'm starting to go, because as you said, it's always a personnel issue with this damn team, with this Bill Belichick GM run team. Bill Belichick, the coach, a top all-time coach easily in my book. I don't care what anyone else says. I think that he is coaching wise. He can take some of the crappiest teams out there. You saw it in 2020 with Cam Newton as the quarterback to an 8-win season. He can do that with any team. You're never going to find him coaching a team, I don't think, to like a 4-win season, 3-win season, something horrible like that. But he continues to screw himself over with his GM moves, not either giving himself the depth or a weapon on offense for his quarterback. And I'm actually more pissed right now. I will say he's been drafting a lot better recently. And clearly, whenever he drafts on defense, I have full confidence in him. But at this point, my biggest gripe with Bill, the GM, is the fact that he didn't just go and spend money on the offensive line. because he is a in the trenches type of guy. He wants to play defense and he wants to run the ball. And even if you don't believe in your quarterback and you think that the NFL is stupid for going towards the quarterback style, which I don't know if he does think that or not. He likes to zig when other people zag, all that kind of crap. So go and get yourself a nice offensive line so you can continue to be a ground and pound type of team with a Ramondre Stevenson. You go out and you get Zeke Elliott. And yes, I do like the pieces that they have on the offensive line, but somebody like Trent Brown is not somebody who you can count on. You don't have a right tackle. I like what they did with the guards. I love Onwenu. I'm not sold on Strange yet. Obviously, he has to do more. Andrews is great. That's perfect. Fine. But if you had gone out there and even if you ignored once again the weapons on offense, the wide receivers and the tight ends, and you got what you got, but you went out there and you spent money to get yourself some big tackles that were going to be consistently reliable for this squad, it changes the whole outcome of at least this first two games and probably the rest of the season, because they have had the worst offensive line play when it comes to run blocking and pass blocking in the league. And Mac Jones has been, to his credit, getting the ball out extremely quick, and they've been looking somewhat comparable on offense. But if you're going to make the guy be like Tom Brady throwing the ball in a minute or in a second and a half every single play, he's not that good yet. He can't handle that. So the biggest thing about the Bill GM stuff right now is he didn't go after better offensive line. I don't care about the offensive weapons as much. I don't think that a DeAndre Hopkins would have made a huge difference for this team if Mac Jones is consistently under pressure and they can't even run the ball. So that's my biggest gripe with him right now on the GM side of things. I don't know if you feel differently, but that's where I'm at.
That's the biggest way to tank a season is to, I mean, you let everyone down, right? It's almost like the equivalent of a baseball team that has like an absolute crap bullpen, right? No matter what you do in these games, no matter how much talent you no matter how well you play, if you're going you have 5-2 lead and your bullpen blows it, like you could be sitting there and every defense is playing well, but the offense just you can't stop it. Can't stop anything. You can't stop a nosebleed. It's like, well, you're just getting again. I go back to demoralizing everybody. Like now, the rest of the teams, not marching in the same direction because they know how much offensive, how much can you generate and get into a rhythm on offense where they're not, they can't get more than 2-3 yards on a run. Mac Jones has to get rid of the ball, like you said, inside of 2 seconds. He's getting pounded. I mean, it's you make the right point where he's such an in the trenches guy. So how do you? But have you seen him trade away like offensive linemen too? Like I think they traded away Tooney. They traded whoever they traded down to Tampa when Brady left. Like I don't know, he just doesn't seem to take it seriously. He thinks he can just find the right guys and stucco and super glue the whole thing together, but it's not the case. Invest in that spot. Don't draft guards in the first round, like that type of stuff. Like invest in the line so that you need to be able to protect this quarterback and actually see. I feel like we're 2.5 years in. We still can't really make a determination on Mac Jones yet.
But I do feel like he's stepping in the right direction. Obviously, last year was completely thrown out the window. That was a crap season. I don't think you can judge anything off of what happened last year. But I think that this year you're seeing Mac progressing in his quarterback abilities. He's at least getting the ball out quicker. He's making quick decisions. And that is what he should be doing in an offense that can't protect itself. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's one thing to not go out there and get yourself a number one wide receiver. I don't even know how many options there were out there. I still don't think that a guy like DeAndre Hopkins would have made a huge difference. But yes, if you're not going to go out there and you want to be a running football team, go and get yourself a beastly offensive line and go run the football, because then it's going to make it easier for Mac Jones. It's going to make it easier for the defense when they're just getting to be able to rest on the sidelines instead of being able to just be thrown right back out there because you go 3 and out. It's frustrating. That's my biggest gripe so far with this season is the offensive line, because and we knew it going in. We knew that a lot of these things were going to be, that was going to be one of the biggest question marks. Can they do anything with the offensive line? They have literally no right tackle. They just don't even have one. There's nobody to play that position. And Trent Brown, I love him when he's engaged, and they gave him another $2 million, but it's like, why couldn't you do that before? Why couldn't you just, if you know that Trent Brown is the type of guy that'll check out if you don't give him everything that he wants, then go give him a little more money and pay the offensive line. That just seems like, to me, that should be a Bill Belichick move, where it would piss a lot of people off because he's just focused on the offensive line. But to me, that would have been perfect for this team. That would have been
And it would have driven results. You'd see them actually play better. You'd see them be tighter
Listen,
in these games. Like see the offense move better. I mean, it's
oh my
again, as
gosh.
long as if they don't get the win, then it's moral victory, yada yada yada. But it's yeah, it costs money. There's no team has like a plethora or like a huge depth of offensive line, right? So
No.
the ones that they do have, they seek, they draft them well, they pay them. Like that's you have to go spend assets to get these guys.
And he's drafting okay. And that's fine when you use I don't hate the Cole Strange pick as much if he turns into something. And I think that he's done good drafting offensive line for depth, but you're not getting the starters. It's fine to draft for depth. Give me all the offensive big boys in the depth position, but you got to go out there and pay for the starters. I think that's the major problem there. And we're seeing what it's doing to the team. You're going to now get a Jet squad that is faltering all over. Zach Wilson is terrible against the Patriots. We've had this long streak of just whooping their butts, but I still don't feel confident because I don't know what the offensive line is going to give you. So
Yeah,
it's
that's offensive. That's offensive fronts. Nothing to be. That's not one to
no,
trifle with.
no, no, not at all. Now I still think that the defense is going to be good for the Patriots, and I do think that moral victories work for the locker room for a lot longer than they do for the fan base. I don't want any moral victory talk for this team this year. I wanted that to be out the window. And I think that the rest of the fan base is in a similar position. I think that moral victories kind of still work for the locker room for a little bit longer. They're going to be able to keep hyping themselves up. But like you said, if you lose to this Jets team, now you're going 0-3 into a Cowboys squad that is, regardless of losing Diggs, looked really good on both sides of the football. And I'm not willing to just concede that that's just because they played a horrible Giants team and everything. I think that they are pretty legit. So I don't know. The biggest thing that I'm worried about now, though, is the injuries on this team. Like I said, the secondary's falling apart. And I think one of the major things, this is a guy that I loved him when he first started playing for the team, but I have flipped so hard on this player to hate, almost hating him whenever I see him out on the Miles Bryant should not be out there at any point on the field. I'm so done with him. I don't care if he makes a few random good plays and he's a decent little tackler. He can't cover for crap. And then I get it. You put yourself in this position because you thought you had a ton of depth at the DB spot, and Miles Bryant is down the list. But then once you have Jonathan Jones sitting out a game and you have Jack Jones on injured reserve, and now it's going to be Marcus Jones on injured reserve as well. Now Miles Bryant actually has to have a role on this team, and that is going to be one of the biggest problems they're going to have with this squad because Bill loves him, undrafted guy, works really hard, and I'm sure he's a nice guy. I sewer him now all the time. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and I feel bad for doing it, but man, I just hate it whenever I see him out on the field making these dumb plays, getting penalties. He'll make one good tackle, and then he'll make three horrible plays. He'll get burned because the team is like, oh, look, it's Miles Bryant. Let's just throw at him, and it's very easy to do. So the injuries are killing me right now, man. I don't know. That's obviously not something you can fix. Injuries happen, but you thought that they were going to have good depth there, and they didn't. Now,
What are your predictions for this week?
I do think they're going to win the game. I think that they're going to be able to handle the Jets. I think that they're going to get right. I think they're going to be, not turning the ball over. That's going to probably, I need to knock on wood because that's what's going to end up coming back in my face. Is they're going to have an early turnover and it's going to flip the game once again. But I think that they'll go out there and they'll start running the ball a little bit better. I think that they will start, moving the ball. And I think that the defense is going to handle it. So, I don't really want to give like a score prediction, but I would think that the Patriots can score in the 20s and they're going to hold the Jets into the teens at most. So that's where I'm at with this. How about you?
So I'm just looking at the line right now. It's Pats -2.5, and so it was a 3. I think some places over under. You ready for this one? 36.5.
No
Yeah,
chance. Is it really? Oh
that's
my,
embarrassing. I
oh
think
my
this team's gonna
goodness.
get one on special teams. Maybe a defensive score. A punt return seems to be in the cards with these two squads. That game, thank God I've got the Sunday ticket so I can have other games going on at the same time. Like put the Pats up in the box, have the volume on, but have red zone, have this game because
Uh-huh.
that game is gonna be. It is going to be a barn, not a barn burner in the
The
sarcastic.
opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just only in the sarcastic sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, we shall see.
No, I think that they're going to be able to handle business. If it's ugly, I don't care. I honestly, I'm done with it has to be like this fancy win. I've been done with that for a while. If it's an ugly win, I don't care. Just win the game. But yeah, I'm
Punt,
looking at
punt.
okay. I saw it though. I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think the line started at 38.5 and it's gone all the way. It's gone down 2 points. That's crazy. That's so low for people who are not gamblers out there. That's an insanely low line. I mean, 36 total points in the game. That's wild. But now to a little bit of a lighter note, I do got to ask you a quick question. Do you think, I know that you have some interesting feelings about Bill Belichick, but do you think that Bill Belichick throws the best sassy challenge flag in the league history at this point? Have you seen some of these challenge flag throws that he's had
That's
in
like
these past
Sunday
two
night, the one
games?
against Miami. That was something. I remember laughing at it when I saw it, but he was like walking the line with it like in his hand, like, "Ooh, am I gonna do it?" And then just yeah, like
he
it's a little yeah, it was something.
Well, he in this last one, he waited until the ref was like
After the play started,
fixing
yeah.
the chains down there. He's down like squatted down, and Bill looks at him like, "You're really gonna make me throw this right now? You're gonna make okay? Here we go." It spikes it right at his feet. It was hilarious. I mean, he did that. He had another one, I think, in the Eagles game too. That man knows how to throw a sassy challenge flag. I tell you
He threw
what.
that after the play started, though, on Sunday night against the Dolphins. That play already got going. I think they gave him the benefit just because, like, he's Bill Belichick, and the amount of yelling he would do. And I mean, that play had already gotten off. He got
The
lucky
cra-
on that.
the crazy thing was that the call stood.
Yeah,
It was they didn't even give it to him. I thought it was whatever. And then I got to ask you now. We've had two end of the game last second plays. You had the Butte didn't get his feet down to almost have that possible comeback chance for Mac Jones. Were you, at that moment, were you rooting for the Tom Brady-esque comeback in that moment for the team, or what were you thinking at that time?
I was rooting for it, but I was also divided because I took the Eagles -5. So I
Jeez.
was, but
Uh-huh.
I thought it was going to happen. I was like, Brady's in the building, they're marching down the field. I was rooting for it. Like, I put the money to the side at that point. My fandom showed a little bit, but
Good.
but it's just like it's both these games, right? I mean, you're rooting for these late game comebacks. Like I was livid when that whole Cole Strange didn't get over the line just because like I
What
like
a
watching that.
play.
We spent 20 years watching this team. Like, if they were down, like, they're never out. Like, they can be down 2 scores or a score, like, late. They're never out. And, like,
That
we're watching them
close.
get this. It feels good. They're coming back. And it's like they shouldn't have been down that bad to begin with. But you see them come back. I mean, you can't not root for that. You know what I mean? You see it. And then, like, they
I
just,
mean,
they can't close. This
come
team cannot, they don't have the talent to close.
NFL, have a little awareness of the moment and how big and cool that would have been if Cole Strange had gotten that
You never
first
want to
down.
see a ref like you don't want to see a ref end the game. Like
Come
no one
on.
wants to see like in baseball like called third strike by the ump when it's like it was a
Killing
delay.
me.
Like, he was outside the box. Like like no one wants to see games end that way. Like no, like they called it. They called it on the field first down. Like let it freaking play. It
That's
wasn't
what
like they handed the game. They still had 30 more yards to go.
they called it on the field as of I've never seen them overturn that type of a call. I get the Butte one, he clearly didn't get his foot down, but that one you're going to overturn that call after calling it on the field and having no sense for the moment, NFL, and just let that the drama that was building up for that moment, and you don't even let it's pissing me off at this point,
Yeah,
but
I mean they made the right call, but let the game
barely.
play out. Yeah.
Barely. Whatever. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see how things go. Patriots, you got to win, and hopefully they can. But we'll see how things go with that. Now it's time, though. We got to move on to the gambling competition. We got Matt here, leader in the clubhouse after 2 weeks. He is at 7-3. And doing really well. So we're going to see how this week's picks stack up. As we've been saying, how we've been doing it every week. One of the gamblers picks 5 games. We all bet off of that. This week, it was my turn to pick the games. And I think I picked some good ones, the most competitive games overall. So we're going to go through all the guys' voicemails first. And then Matt and I are going to give you our picks. So we'll start off here. Who are we going to start off with? We'll go with Dan. He's been doing good. Mendez, he's in a good spot. So let's see what his picks are to start off.
Copy, week 3, first game, Falcons and Lions. Lions minus 3.5. I'm going to take the over 42.5 in that game. Lions seems a little low. I know Falcons run the ball and point during the clock, but Lions can put up some points. I'm still not sold on their defense. I think I'll hit the over pretty easily. Second game, Bills minus 6.5 at Commanders. I'm taking Commanders with the points. I think Commanders are just a tough team. I think they're going to make a game. I think the Bills will win, but I'll take the Commanders to cover. Next game, Saints and Packers. I'm going to take the over 42.5. Saints are explosive. Packers, getting Aaron Jones back. Their offense will be able to keep up. I think, again, that line seems a little low to me. Next game, Chargers at Vikings. I'm taking Vikings minus 1. Chargers flying across the country. I think the Vikings are a pretty good team. There's just something always off with the Chargers. Not saying the coach either. Last game, Steelers at Raiders minus 2.5. I'm taking the Steelers. Steelers are just a tougher team. Raiders always have too much going on with Aaron Jones stuff. Steelers are a better coach team. I'm taking the Steelers to cover an outright win. Everybody say that.
All right, those are Danny's picks. He's got some good ones on there, I think. I like this whole style of us all picking off the same games too. I think that this makes for some interesting, the way that we're looking at it and all that kind of stuff. But interesting picks for him. Let's move on though. Let's keep it going, and we'll get Cam's picks next.
Hey y'all, it's Cam here with the picks for week 3. We'll start with the Lions plus 3 against the Falcons. The Lions have been really good at home the last couple seasons, and all the Falcons do is run the ball, and the Lions have actually been pretty good at stopping the run. So I'll take them at a field goal or less. Next is the Bills and Commanders over 43.5. I know there's supposed to be some bad weather, but that seems to be mostly on Saturday. And these offenses have been playing really well so far, so I'll take that over. LA next is the Chargers and Minnesota over 54. I just think these are two of the best offenses and two of the worst defenses in the league. Next is the Saints plus 2 against the Packers. The Packers have been getting a little lucky lately. And Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are still questionable to play. And I think the Saints haven't played as well as they can, at least on offense. So I'll take the Saints plus 2. And then last is the Raiders minus 2.5 against the Steelers. The Steelers are in a bad spot going across the country, coming off a tough Monday night loss. And the Steelers' offenses look horrendous so far, so I'll take the Raiders. To recap, it's Lions minus 3, Bills Commanders over 43.5, Chargers Vikings over 54, Saints plus 2, Raiders minus 2.5.
All right, there's Cam's picks. We're kind of going rapid fire right now. I'm just going to get Doherty's off as well. So here we go with Doherty's.
All right, Andrew's week 3 pick. I got Buffalo minus 6.5, the Chargers plus 1, Saints plus 2, Falcons plus 3, and Raiders minus 2.5.
Short and sweet, love it. And let's hit Dwyer last before we get into our picks.
All right, this is Ryan. Here are my picks for this week. I like the Lions minus 3. They seem like they're going to be actually somewhat decent this year, surprisingly. So go with them. Roll the Bills minus 6.5. Seems like they're going to get some little momentum here, get the ball rolling. Go with the Chargers plus 1. Vikings kind of stink. Saints, Packers. I'm going to go Saints plus 2. And then Steelers, Raiders. I'm going to go Raiders minus 2. Got TB involved in this year. I think it's going to help them out a lot to get some dubs.
All right, there's Ryan as well. He's the newcomer to the show, newcomer to everything, but he's 6-4 on the season, so not too bad for Ryan as well. So those are the guys' picks. Those are the voicemails. I'll let you go first, Maddie. You go ahead. You are the leader in the clubhouse, sir. So why don't you take it away and tell us what your picks are?
All right. I'm looking at my list right now. All right. So we've got Falcons, Lions. I'm taking over 42.5. I think that's sort of a low number. I think both teams are going to be scoring. Bills at Commanders. I'm taking Washington plus the points, plus 6.5. I was thought about taking the over in that one, but I do think that the Commanders are going to keep it close. They've been playing all right this year, so I'll take them with the points. Chargers at Vikings. I hate this number. I'm going to take the over 54. It's such a high number, but I think Cam said it well. Two great offenses, two crap defenses. Saints at Packers. I'm taking Packers -2. I don't really love the Saints. I think they're injury riddled right now. They don't have any running backs. I think the Packers are going to win that one. And I'm taking the under 43 in the Steelers and Raiders. That might be the second worst game this week to watch, and besides the Pats and the Jets.
Yeah, no, I just I like picking the Sunday night game just because, but that is definitely a tough one to go with there. So I was absolutely atrocious last week. I went 0-5, can't get any worse. So only up from here. Only up from here. So let's get it going here. I'm starting off Lions -3 against the Falcons. They're at home. Falcons team loves running the ball. This Lions team, even though they're banged up, I am still taking them because I have faith in this squad that they're going to be able to kind of hold that Falcons team down and score enough points. So give me Lions with the laying the 3 points on that one. Bills Commanders, I'm going over 43.5 in this one. I do think that the Bills are going to jump out to an early lead there, but the Commanders, per usual this season, they've been making these comebacks, getting back into games late. So I'm expecting the Bills to start off strong, Commanders to come back late, and they get that over 43.5 points. Next game, Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings -1 at home against the Chargers. Both teams, high-powered offenses, and I think that it is going to show, like you said, the 54 points. I think that it'll come close to, if not going over there, but I'm taking the Vikings to win at home. I just think that they're going to be better than the Chargers. Chargers love shooting themselves in the foot as well. Saints, Packers, I'm going with the Saints +2. I'm taking the points in that one. I love their defense. The Saints, I mean, the Packers, Jordan Love, I don't know yet what they're going to be. I think that the Saints will at least keep themselves in it and within that field goal range at worst. But I think it's going to be a lower scoring game overall. I'm going to take the points with the Saints. Lastly, going with Raiders -2.5 at home against the Steelers. And Steelers going out to them, like we already said. Cam said it, I believe. Steelers flying out to Vegas. Nobody ever plays good when they have to go to Vegas, right? They're all thinking about doing other things anyway. So give me the Raiders -2.5. I think they're going to be able to hold it down there. So that is everybody's picks for this week. We'll see how things go. Thank you once again, Maddie, for coming on. We'll see if you have another big week out of you, and we'll be looking to talk to you again in the future to go over things. If you go 5-0, we'll have to have you get back on again next week. Thank you again for coming on, though.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, we'll see you later.